Welcome back to the Talent Bite, the space where we're cutting through the noise in recruiting, tech, and leadership to talk about what's really happening behind the buzzwords. I'm Kayla Moss, and after years of working on both the agency and corporate recruiting side, I can tell you I have seen a lot of trends come and go, but there's one we are tackling today. And this one is a little different. We are calling it the AI resume trap. Resumes are looking better than ever, but too many of them are falling apart in the interviews. So today, I've got someone who sees this problem up close in one of the most high stake industries out there right now, that is cybersecurity. Joining me today is Adrianna Iadarola, Director of Security Services and Staffing at Colossus Technologies Group. Adrianna, thank you for being
Thank
here, and I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, Kayla. I'm super excited to chat about this because it's definitely a big impact on our industry at the moment and across, I think, other industries as well. So it's a very useful conversation we're about to have.
Adriana, you've said before AI can polish a profile, but it can't fake expertise. Honestly, I love that. But can you share, what you've been seeing in the market and what really made you say that?
So I think with the excessive use of keywords, what we're doing is we're focusing on how to pass an ATS system as opposed to how to actually get ourselves in front of a hiring manager and explain what
Right.
our skill sets are. So
Mhm.
because you're utilizing keywords so many times within your resume to get past a ATS system because there's hundreds of people applying to these similar roles, you're really kind of putting yourself in a category where you might not have that expertise when you're asked about it, right? So if
Right.
you're utilizing a specific, language or phrase or, name of a technology so many times, you begin to look like you are a SME in that area
Right.
where
Exactly.
technically you're not. And this is
Yeah.
going to be weeded out as soon as you get in front of somebody that is technical enough to understand your skill set. So
Exactly.
the
Exactly. I
problem,
totally agree. Especially
mm,
when it comes to companies looking for more talent in regards to data science, machine learning, AI skill sets,
correct.
that's really kind of been everybody's starting to slap that on their resume. I don't want a carbon copy. I don't want a million carbon copies. I want somebody who can actually show me their work, somebody who's going to have, their GitHub link on their resume,
Exactly.
that's going to have their LinkedIn profile. I want somebody who's actually going to show me a little bit of meat rather than just kind of slapping together, keywords from the job description or what we would like to see right here.
Absolutely.
So,
And I don't want to sit here and just bash people for doing this
oh,
just
absolutely.
because, I'm not saying that we're bashing, but I understand why people are doing this, right? I understand why, looking at your resume, putting it through some type of AI resume profile, and building it so it can, correlate very well and get through that ATS system.
Absolutely.
Because I definitely see a lot of bottleneck happening with that. And, there is a lot of highly qualified people that are being passed on opportunities because they don't make it past the ATS system. So,
Yeah.
how do you not leverage AI in order to get past that gatekeeper? And that gatekeeper is what the problem is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the key to all of this is that the people that do get through are not actually matches for the opportunity, or at least the ones chosen. And that's why we continuously will see postings that, every few weeks that get reposted and another hundred and so applicants, as it says on LinkedIn.
Right.
Realistically, it probably is 500,
Right.
but what we're definitely looking at is, wordsmithing, right? And understanding what generic, out of the box thoughts from humans. And then we have the AI, which is more of an algorithm focus, and we'll
Right.
continuously see the same language being used over and over.
Right.
Um, so it's important to be, focused on telling your own story and less about the keywords.
Mhm.
In the same sense, you really can't do that because then you're not getting past the ATS system.
Right,
So,
and that's what's so difficult, and this is the kind of evolution that we've seen over the years. Technologists aren't book writers. They're not they're not editors. They're not ones that, have extreme expertise in sitting down and writing resumes. They don't look at that stuff every single day. And so, and that's where we prior to AI, that's where we used to coach people. How can we better work with you to tailor your resume to, get it across to the employer, or the client. And so um now, instead of paying a headhunter or resume writer, they're resorting to a free resource of AI, and now it's pumping out carbon copies. So yeah,
correct.
totally agree. It's honestly, like I said in the article, it's robot versus robot. We need that human factor behind it all. And so
Exactly.
um that's where it's
So, I
kind of
mean,
lacking.
since the beginning of recruiting, it's like people hire people, right?
Yeah.
I definitely have been in many instances where, it's an individual that fits, personally, environmental, like, the entire way a business is running. So that whole like social aspect of, getting along with a hiring manager is definitely something that, is larger than just a skill set, right?
Right.
And it's larger than just, do they fit for the role? Because many of times when you're interviewing someone, they have the key fundamentals to do the work, right? And what we're forgetting now is we're looking at them to have specific things in there, and we're completely missing out, are they going to be a cultural match for us? Because we're going off of this robot to robot instead of human to human.
Right.
And
Trust factor.
exactly. So many of the resumes that do tell a story, that do tell the work that they're doing, especially in our industry, we
Right.
all know in cybersecurity, keyword matching has never worked, right? It's truly the
No.
fundamentals of what they're doing within the technology that stands out. And unless you can tell that story, and for an ATS system to actually be able to read that, they can't. That's
No.
not something that they're going to have that like deep, true understanding of what exactly things mean unless you're using SEO, specific words, and definitions that correlate with what the ATS system has been taught.
Exactly.
So we're kind of in a challenging place that, keyword stuffing is definitely, getting everybody through that front door. But what's happening is it's not getting the right people through. And then the
Right.
ones that are looking to, not utilize the technology and not change things are definitely getting left behind.
A
But
hundred
the
percent.
problem is so many people are getting through that they're trying to narrow it down. So now not only do we have the blocker of an ATS system, but then we're also relying on the human resources team to actually have the knowledge that's needed to understand this technology in depth, which has
Yep.
been an issue since day one, right?
Yeah, especially now with the advancements, across the board.
Exactly.
We need to invest more in upskilling and educating, especially at a corporate level, continuously, upskilling our recruiters and HR
Yes.
professionals as much as our technologists. Because in order for us to be able to build out, highly talented, experienced teams, we also need to be educated to some capacity as well. But this really kind of brings me to my next point on, how does all of this AI resumes, inflated profiles really impact the trust between recruiters, hiring managers, and candidates? So, I mean, in my experience, trust is everything in this industry. That's
Mm,
really what's, the transparency, building trust with candidates, building trust with your hiring managers or clients. You know, I've had hiring managers say to me, this resume seems like a little too polished. I don't know. And just like, are you sure this person's real? Or is
yeah,
this like an AI resume? And it's like, well, no, this is a person. I've talked to them. Like, it's authentic, but um it's it's becoming like the value of a polished resume is becoming unvaluable at this point, which is
absolutely.
sad. um
Absolutely.
But I would love to hear, your kind of take on the trust value of it all.
I think the trust value definitely is in multiple different areas where, one, it's like, is the candidate being truthful? And, or are they in desperate mode? And desperation is definitely a key to things right now. I do find a lot of people being out of work, the mass layoffs, people are scared and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. So, of course, they're trying everything that they can to get interviews. And it's something that is really disheartening because I see some really talented professionals that have been out of work far too long,
Yeah.
and it's because they can't find one another. And this is what happened years ago when people were first becoming, aware of the cybersecurity industry and growing their internal teams. It's like, well, how do we find one another? And then we're
Mhm.
back to that mission right now where there
Right.
is there is an influx of candidates, and those candidates are doing everything that they can in order to get in front of somebody else. It's highly competitive. So I guess the trust factor is we're going to question each candidate coming in. Are they real? Right? Are they, an AI bot? Are they falsifying their resumes? We have to, as internal and external recruiters, make sure that that is something that we get ahead of. And
Yep.
then we've got the entire piece of, you know, are the candidates trusting these companies that these are actual real positions, or are they wasting their time?
Yeah, there's that
And
too. Yeah.
that's the trust factor right now is you apply to a role, you don't get selected, even though based off of the job description, you have done everything that they're asking for, but you don't get selected. Then 6 weeks go by, you see the job reposted. That right there is going to give the candidates false hope and then also
Right.
lack of like, what's the integrity of this business? How are they
Right.
running this? What are they looking for?
Right.
Right?
Are they just pipelining, or they just haven't, like, do they just have evergreen recs up just to kind of pipeline talent for the future? Or, just to kind of see what's out there? Like, what is this looking like? Um,
Exactly.
I totally understand that. I've been blessed where I'm at that we don't do that. Um, we're we definitely stand 100% behind our values,
Hmm.
and we don't utilize AI with ATS systems and things like that. So we definitely stand behind the human factor. Um,
Which I love, and not many
yeah,
companies are unfortunately doing that, right?
yeah,
There is some type of, algorithm or question sets or things that you're marking through where
absolutely.
I respect that an internal recruiter can't go through 900 applications. And
Yeah,
that's another big problem now is that individuals have these tools to mass apply to things, or they have these bots that are able to kind of go out and, you know,
yep.
upload your resume to me and I'll apply to all these jobs for you,
That have the keywords, and yeah,
that is
exactly.
saturating this market in the sense that no one can keep up with that. So we don't want to see AI resumes, but yet candidates are using AI in order to apply. And then
Right.
they're changing their resumes so then they can get through ATS systems, but it's creating a bottleneck. We have
Yep.
so many layoffs, so many people that are on the market that the market is definitely a buyer's kind of market in the sense where hiring managers are like, I can get what I need. It's just going to take some time because there is qualified
Right.
candidates out there. But what we're
Exactly.
missing is that proactive approach. Like, we've never been successful in finding qualified candidates by simply ad response.
No.
And you and I both have been in the recruiting industry for a very long time, and our best candidates very seldom come from ad response.
Yeah.
So, why does that
Exactly.
change all of a sudden now? Is it because there's more on the market? Is it because, the AI driven kind of search capabilities? But all I'm thinking of to myself is if it was a problem back then, I'm sure it's a problem now. So, like the old school way of going out and finding that right person, actually headhunting,
Right.
is where it gets back to.
Yeah.
And that's what really matters is truly going after the right professionals in the right places. Maybe they're working, maybe they're not, but it's more proactive. This reactive recruiting is just creating a mess, and
Um,
it's time and wasted money for everybody involved.
exactly. I 100% agree on that. It's very true. It's it's amazing to see how much things have really kind of changed from pre-COVID to COVID to now. Um, I mean, even within the realm of like software engineering, I mean, that's extremely oversaturated. During
Hmm.
COVID, a lot of people had free time. Kids were pushed into STEM careers, into STEM education, and coming out of COVID, now the market's completely oversaturated.
Mm,
And the advancements of AI, cybersecurity, and software engineering, all of that is really kind of just oversaturated right now.
hmm.
And what a lot of companies and clients are looking for is that more tenured professional who's able to come in and be more strategic and
Exactly.
lead and have that, you know, years of technical baseline. We're not necessarily looking for that entry level talent anymore, which is making it even more difficult. Um,
Exactly. And I think that that's definitely, the biggest piece to that is like, I definitely see a lot of entry level positions being out there. But in
right.
order to get to them, it's definitely based off of more of your networking. It's less of just
Hmm.
going and applying. It's more of like getting into, companies that are offering, internships or, things of that nature to really break in, paid or unpaid. There is some great companies out there that are supporting entry level professionals and finding paid internships, because you can work at a company and get a paid internship, and the company not even have to pay for that because it comes out of university dollars. So,
Right.
there's a lot of things that entry level candidates and students need to look into on the
Yeah.
services on just going out and getting a full-time role, right? There is
Right.
definitely many things, and I recommend always starting your junior year and trying to find internships and building relationships and networking,
Hmm.
because that's what's going to separate you. But I
Yep.
think too, we are so, the market is owned by all of these PE firms and all of these venture capitalists coming and all of these new startups. And of course, they can't hire, entry level professionals because they have this amount of money, they have this amount of window to go and get their product and platform up and running.
Yep.
So it's the way the industry and the market's trending, is that the open positions and the money is all within a lot of startups. And those
Right.
startups need people that can do the job because it's
Right.
their founding line of professionals. So until that kind of starts ironing out, we're going to see that mid-level person is going to get hired before anyone else, and even the senior level.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
the market has changed since COVID. COVID, there was definitely a significant amount of overhiring, because companies had to get themselves to be a remote only role, like in business, which, they needed a lot of people to come in and make that happen. So, we're seeing probably a lot of those layoffs that are going on right now because it's like back to office,
Yeah.
right? So they've hired all these people remotely, they overhired, now their company's up and running, they're good to go. They
Right.
don't need that staff to maintain, at least they think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's it's a crazy world right now. I really, there's so many different factors that are impacting the cybersecurity industry, the software, software engineering, and just IT in general. And I think it's just this evolution of technology that's happening at a faster rate than we can even keep up with. And
Exactly.
then also a market that is very cost, driven, in the sense of like, how do we cut corners in order to make sure that, we bring down our revenue, kind
Mm.
of cost, right? So at the end of the day, we just need to make sure that, we're providing as much resources as we possibly can and making as many introductions as we can.
Yep, exactly. And once again, the human factor, keeping it back to that human factor, keeping it back to the
Yes.
relationship building, the trust building,
Yes.
and you know, being able to build your reputation with your hiring managers, with your clients, with your candidates, and just having that longer
It
term
truly
engagement.
matters. I'm interested to see like what it costs for an internal organization to go through, post a job on LinkedIn and receive X amount of applicants and work on a position for 3 to 6 months.
Oh
I
yeah,
wonder what the cost is internally for the time spent by the hiring manager, the time spent by internal recruiting, the
it's a
time
lot.
spent, right?
It's a
And
lot.
when you go through the process, the cost of that, I bet you in hiring a specialized person to come in and do the job and submit to you 5 to 10 qualified candidates, and those qualified candidates are to get hired within a 45-day period, like I feel like the amount of money in return is substantial in the sense where it's thousands of dollars that are saved through that process, as well as like just the frustrations of the team, keeping so your business, isn't impacted by like, hey, that culture over there is awful. Like I've applied to them 15 times and they don't even get back to me. I'm never going to work there. You
Right.
know, that is definitely a common thing that's happening in the market.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'll never apply there. Like they don't even respect their candidates. They can't even get back to us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally understand that one from both sides, you know,
Yeah,
of the coin. Um, I mean, if you think about it alone, like just one LinkedIn recruiter license is like what, 10 grand a year or something like that. I
something like
mean,
that.
that's 10 grand right there, right off
And
the
then the
bat.
job postings.
And then the
And the
postings and everything else, and that's not including the time spent. Yeah, like you said, it all breaks down and it's expensive. So this is where it kind of comes down from like the employer like strategy side of the house, like, you know what should companies be doing differently to move beyond this? And honestly, like you said, they either need to hire specialists who are going to have these pre-built relationships already with these technologists, or they need to invest more in upskilling their teams.
internal
Their
teams. Yeah.
yes, their technology teams, their HR and talent acquisition teams that are, more specialized in technology. I really think it needs to happen because, like you said, the technology is moving a lot faster than we can keep up. But,
Mhm.
these companies need to also focus on, investing in their employees in order to not fall behind either.
Correct.
So, um,
But I
and
feel
that's
like
where
in a
they're going to lose
market,
money in the long
exactly.
run.
But I feel like in like a mid-size organization where they might
Right.
have one internal TA person that's
Right.
responsible for supporting them and hiring across the board. This means sales professionals, marketing professionals, right? Tech
Mhm.
professionals. Like there is so many different avenues. And you and I both know like when you get a search that you don't really understand or you don't, have that market following, and you're kind of like Googling stuff, trying to educate yourself, like figuring it out. But
Yeah.
the most common way to do things is making sure that you have a network of professionals that are trusted. And like that's been our focus right now is, going after these applications. It's like, great, I have 900 people that applied to a SOC analyst role that I have. But my first go to people are the people that I've spoken to before, right? And somebody that I've got a relationship with that I know they've done work with, organizations I'm familiar, I have some type of trust factor in them.
Right.
So that's going to be my first go to. And then, of course, sifting through resumes and making some conversations and calls. But there's no way that I can capably get through 900 profiles.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's
S-
just ridiculous.
So there's so many missed potentials just because of the volume. So we either have to do a cutoff at an X amount of, people that apply, right? So we can kind of keep it strategized. So 50 people apply, you close the rec, right? You go through those people. If you need to add more, you add more. Um,
Mm.
I just think the upscaling piece too. But how do you upscale somebody when they have to hire across the entire organization? You can't.
Yeah, that's a good
You
point.
can't.
I mean, yeah, that's really a good point when it comes to, the smaller organizations or mid-size organizations where the teams are, a single person or just, smaller. Um, it does make things a little bit more difficult, but I think that, you know, there still needs to be some sort of like investment or development done in some capacity
Correct.
to bridge that gap. Um,
And I
because
think we
there's
need to
only so
stay
much
away from
time in a day, too.
really. And I think that, whoever's teaching these systems to scan through these resumes, I use AI myself, right? I
Will
use it
do.
through my own internal system where, we have professionals in there, and I find myself many times going back to my standard Boolean search where putting in
Yep.
keywords and putting in phrases, and I have to read through each of these resumes
Oh, yeah.
because that's what tells the story. I cannot search through a profile based on they've been a CISO. It's like, great, they've been a CISO, but what the hell have they done as a CISO? Are they on the technical side? What was their upbringing? Right?
Right.
Or did they start off as a software engineer? Did they start off as an auditor?
Right.
Totally two different people.
Two different people, two different backgrounds.
Exactly. So the keyword piece to that is just it doesn't work. And then with AI systems, like the experience of somebody, if you say that they need 10 years and knowing that, like, really the technology or what they're asking for to be done within that technology hasn't even been a
Been
thing for
around.
10 years, it's like makes no sense to me. Right. And, looking at 10 years of work experience or specific industry knowledge or education or certifications, it's like there's so much that comes with that, right?
Exactly.
It's like there's
Exactly.
such a story. The smartest person for your role can definitely not have a degree
Oh, exactly.
or did not believe in going and getting that specific certification because, it's absurd amount of money.
Hmm. It's the people that are self-taught.
Yeah, it just is it's crazy to me that, we're missing that component of it's human. It's human interaction. And the more and more that we remove ourselves from the process and we allow these, non-human systems to make selections for us,
Hmm.
and it's not just the narrowing down, it's like it's a broken system. It's not ready for what it needs to be doing. If
It's
it
not.
didn't work before, it's not going to work now. And if you think about it, like I have been writing prompts as a Boolean. And if for those of you who are listening who don't know what a Boolean search is, it's basically like an algorithm that I write in to find specific profiles based off of keyword searches. Like I have been using prompts to find people and
For
professionals through a
decades.
system for decades. And I'll tell you right now, it's been broken then and it's still broken
It's still
now.
broken now. Yeah, you're right. You're
Right?
right. It's
So,
funny, but it's true. We've been prompting engineers for forever,
yes,
you know?
yes, yes, yes,
So,
exactly.
um,
And what it takes for me is knowledge. My first and foremost is going into, who I know, my memory. And it's the people that I've touched upon, it's the relationships that I've built, and it's the ones that I trust. And that's still going to stand by me, and that's still going to be what's at the forefront.
right.
And to watch everyone struggle in their job searches right now is so frustrating to see. And I wish I could go and help every single person that has applied to 200 plus jobs that is, literally ripping their hair out. Their unemployment's running out. They're, you know, in a place that is just probably the most scariest position to be in, as an adult. in the job market right now, especially in the cybersecurity space.
Mhm.
And my biggest piece of advice is to level up, skill up, train yourself on AI, train yourself on new emerging technologies,
Yep.
understand what's in the market, be involved in it, be open minded, because you're just going to get left behind.
Exactly. Network,
And
have those
when it
conversations with
comes
people.
to, yeah, and when it comes to applying for jobs, meet people, go out, meet people, put your sales hat on, ask for introductions, use your
Yep.
LinkedIn, attend events, just be involved. Let people know that you're on the market. Let people know you're looking. Um,
That's the
you
key.
know,
You have to, if you don't say something, then, and you don't put that out there, you don't
yeah,
tell people,
yeah,
hey, look, I'm on the market. I'm looking. Like, this is what I'm looking for. Do you like, are you hiring, or do you know somebody else that's hiring, or
yeah,
whatever the case,
yeah,
you have to put those feelers out there in order to be able to make a move, in order to make
exactly,
strides. And so,
exactly.
um, yeah,
And
this is, go
I
ahead.
know it's a nerve-wracking place to be. So that's where it's like I try to help and support every single candidate I come across to give them tips and tricks to, better utilize their skills. But when it comes to switching up your resume in AI, I am by all means take your resume, go through and make sure there's no edits or simple things that need to be changed, right? You can do great prompts in order to better explain yourself and take out the fluff, right?
Right.
That's the big piece. But
Exactly.
to manipulate your entire resume to fit a job description, you're not going to get through where you think. All you're doing is you're dirtying the water for everybody else behind you.
Yeah, you're making it harder for yourself at the end of the day.
Exactly. And you're making it harder for others.
Yeah.
So, I know people are going to continue to do it, and I know people are going to continue to falsify like their background and their history and just to get ahead of the game, but it gets caught.
Yep.
Soon as
Yep.
you
We'll
sit
start
down with
being
that
too.
hiring manager, as soon as you sit down with somebody that knows that technology and knows that skill set, you immediately are going to get weeded out quickly.
Yep.
And all you've done is wasted your time, their time, and the time of other people that could have been sitting in that seat.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Adriana, I really, really love this conversation
Me
today. And thanks
too.
again for joining me on this, and being so candid about what's really happening in the market right now. And for
Absolutely.
everyone listening, here's the takeaway: AI can win you the screening, but only proof of work wins you the job.
Exactly.
So, you can dive deeper into this topic in my latest Talent Byte newsletter article, The AI Resume Trap: Why Perfect Profiles Keep Crumbling. And don't forget, this is part of a bigger conversation we are having every Thursday. So hit the subscribe, and we will see you next week.